Welcome to today's video, everyone. This is something I really do not want to get into today, but we're going to be doing it. So all in the name of building up this rear end. So let's check it out. This right here is my 2007 GT500. Got a Eaton True Track in the back, stock axles, stock studs, stock housing pretty much. Then I got a Shea differential brace on it. And well, what we're going to be doing today is basically testing some clearances out, and we got to figure out how to pin this thing. And I also got new axles on the way, so hopefully they'll be here some point pretty soon. So I'm gonna get this up and then we'll get underneath and I'll show you what's going on. As to why I'm doing this, well, I want to make sure I don't spin an axle tube, and I want to make sure I don't lose a freaking wheel down the drag strip. So let's get into it. Welcome to underneath the car. So what we're gonna do is, the goal with this is to basically pin the axle. Now what that is, that takes a bolt that's probably about a head size around there, basically about a 1/2 inch bolt, thin threads, and we're gonna be putting holes into the differential right here on the top side and on the back side on the two same spots. And what that's going to do is that's going to put a bolt through this outer piece and then into this inner axle tube. We're going to drill a hole, thread it, put some Loctite on there and a lock washer. And what that's going to let this whole thing do is pretty much keep this tube from being able to rotate inside of here. So there's 3 plugs on this thing, 1 there and 2 on the other side, that hold this tube in place. They get pressed in, and then those plugs are stuck in there to kind of help keep everything solid. Now, I have the Shea brace, which is doing its job. I haven't had any issues yet. However, I've only cut about 1 6/60-foots. And what this is supposed to do is basically it bolts up to the outer part of the axle, which as you can see is all welded together, all one piece. It bolts up right here. It bolts up to the actual diff housing itself. And this is basically an anti-rotation bar. So what happens is this thing wants to come that way. That bushing wants to come this way. And basically they're rotating against each other. This thing is trying to rotate in the housing that way. Sorry, that way. And this thing is trying to rotate that way. It's actually not trying to rotate, it's trying to stay in place. But that's as a result of having only 3 points of contact: this guy, that one, and that one over there. So, as I'm trying to get down into the 1 5/60-foot range, 1/4 would be sick, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that just yet anyway. I popped this off already, it doesn't normally act like that. I looked at a couple kits online for this, and the one I found said that it's doable in the car. However, I don't know, I'm not a genius here, but even if I move this stuff out of the way, like, there's no way I'm getting a drill bit at the proper angle to get that top corner. And on the back side, like, forget it. So we're gonna have to pull the differential out of the car, which is gonna suck a lot. I do not want to do this even a little bit, but this is all in the name of getting stronger and not breaking stuff, and hopefully going faster. So without further ado, we're going to get into this. So to start off with, I'm going to start this whole process with removing the drive shaft from the back axle yoke. And then we're just going to kind of move on. The last thing I want to take off on this car is going to be the shocks, I think. Because I'm going to let those keep the axle stabilized, and then I'll pull those off last, and that'll kind of help everything drop down. But that's kind of that's the plan forward. So let's go ahead and start with these these drive shaft bolts. Get the drive shaft out, not out, but just off the rear axle, and then we'll continue on. Drive shaft is now disconnected. Definitely not super easy, but she's out now. Pretty much all that involved was pulling out the drive shaft bolts and then just tapping it out once they're all out. That part's down. It's good old Shaftmaster's aluminum drive shaft. Now we're going to go ahead and work on the next. Shaft is now off. Next thing I want to do, I think I'm going to go ahead and pull off the wheels, and then we're going to take off the sway bar next, because I can get the Panhard bar off, and the sway bar is connected to the bottom axle anyway, so might as well pull that off while we're here. I'm going to go get the sway bar off next, and wheels and tires are off now, so we got a little more room down here. So we're going to start with the sway bar, start with the sun. Got to get that guy off right there, these 2 bolts. Then we got to get these 2 link bolts out. Man, this thing is bright. Right there. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do next, get the sway bar out of the way. Sway bar is now off. Next thing I want to do is go ahead and take off the Panhard bar, get that out of the way. I would just leave it on the car and unbolt this bottom end, but it doesn't slide out that way, so you have to unbolt this side first, slide it down, then you can get this side. So we're just going to take the whole thing off, and then that'll be set out of the way. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do next. Rear Panhard bar is off. Now we're gonna go ahead and pop off the brakes. So we got an e-brake, that cable needs to come off, which is running around down here. So, sorry, this is it right here. And then we have our actual brake. So we're gonna pop off the bracket bolts. So this bolt right here, and there's one more right below it. Once those two come off, we're gonna pop this out of the way and tie it up in here so it's out of the way, and then we're gonna get the e-brake off. Actually, no, I lied. I don't need to take the e-brake off. Just the whole caliper bracket's coming off. Sweet. Rear brake is off, as you can see. Also had to get the speed sensor out right there. And looks like that's about it for brake. I'm gonna go do this to the other side and then we will continue on. This bracket is off now as well. I think the next thing I'm gonna do is the upper control arm bolt. So let's go ahead and get under there and get that out next. Upper differential bolt is out. Next thing we're going to go ahead and do is support the lower diff, or support the diff, as you can see right here. Also, the shade brace doesn't really matter. It's going to stay on here until we get it down to the workbench. So we're going to support this guy right here, and then we're going to pop off the, let's do lower control arms next on this side. Same thing on that side. It's just one bolt, pretty simple. Both lower control arms are off. Now I'm just going to pop out these shocks, one bolt on either side. And this diff assembly is going to be free from the car. So a little nervous, but I'm just going to send it and hopefully it doesn't go crazy. But if it does, we can always get it back. So let's get this thing out. As you can see, she is out of the car now. There you have it. Definitely not super lightweight, but good to go. So next up is disassemble this thing, pin it, put new axles in it, new seals. We got 2 new end seals, and put it back together. So that's going to do it for this part of the video. As you saw, the diff is now removed, and next video is going to be going ahead and pinning this thing and building it up, and then the last video is going to be putting it back together. So hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you in the next one. I'm going to go and get working on it right now. So take it easy. And let's hope this goes in as smooth as it came out. Good stuff.